Hey, what's up guys? It's Casey, and for this video I want to show you how to preserve tracking data if somebody comes through, let's say, one link that has UTM data, and then days later they come through another link that has different UTM data. So how do we capture this stuff and this stuff, and store it in Infusionsoft? So let me show you an example. I'm going to take this link and I'm going to paste it in the URL here. So this is kind of simulating, somebody coming from AdWords and they're coming from a trial testing campaign, and that's the data that I want to collect. So I can verify that the iTracker cookie is set if I open up the JavaScript console and type in that iTracker360.i. So here's all the values that are set in the iTracker cookie, and this would be the lead source that would get set. So what I want to do is I'm going to click on one of these call to actions, and for this call to action I'm going to click on the green one, and what I'm doing there is I'm setting the UTM content field to green CTA. So rather than overwriting the entire tracking cookie, it's only going to overwrite this one particular field. So I can verify again, what's in the cookie if I do that. And so now the content is set to green CTA. So the lead source would now be AdWords trial testing green call to action. So that's what I want to collect. I'll click on this link and let's submit a brand new contact. So I'll do contact1@testing.com, and I'll submit this. And inside Infusionsoft, I'll look up this record. So I submitted a standard Infusionsoft form. So that means the lead source will be set immediately through the form submission. So that's the lead source, AdWords trial testing green call to action. So that field will never get overwritten. That's always going to be his lead source unless you manually change it or something like that. There's also some iTracker custom fields. So these are my custom fields up here. They're not filled in yet because right now the iTracker system is going to sync that data through through an API sync process. So here's the contact1@testing.com. It's currently pending. So this is the data for that record, and this is what is going to get pushed into Infusionsoft. Is currently pending. But let me show you how I have this set up to kind of preserve data and whatnot. So under advanced settings for this particular account, if you go to the tag based tracking, split tagging, I have all of these tags enabled. Some people like having all the tags, and some people don't like having any tags, and some people only need certain tags, right? So based on, like, let's say that GA content field that was green CTA, if I wanted to apply a tag called green_CTA, I could do that if I enabled just tagging for that field. If I wanted to have like a lead source tag, I could apply just that tag, and that would be the source, medium, and campaign together. So I'm applying tags for this account, and I also have this custom field preservation set up. So what I did is I created another field called original GA content. So that's another custom field, and what I'm mapping this custom field to this custom field. And I'll show you what that's going to do. So let's look at this contact record. Let's refresh his page. So we pushed all this data into his custom fields, and so that's good. And then since I have this custom field GA content mapped to this field, what we did is we copied this over to here, and we only will set this field if this field is empty. But if this field has a value, we're never going to overwrite the original custom fields. So these fields will always stay like this. We won't overwrite it, and these fields up here will get overwritten on the next, submission or whatever. So we have data here, and then we also have all these tracking tags. So you can enable or disable whatever you want, but this is kind of giving you all the data. So we have each tag, each split tag based on each custom field, and then we have this lead source tag that has, the source, medium, and campaign together. We also have a page URL, so this was the URL or the page that they submitted from. So now let's say let's say days later this guy comes back through with another like source, medium, and campaign. So this time it's Infusionsoft, conversion, and then email click. Let's just say that, right? So let's go back to here. I'm going to paste it in to the URL. So the tracking cookie is going to get overwritten with these values because we saw a source and a medium field set. So we overwrote the entire cookie. We can verify the cookie again, and seeing what, by running this command, we'll see what's inside it. So there's conversion, Infusionsoft, email click, and that would be the lead source. And we would try to set the lead source, but we're not going to be able to because the contact that we submitted already has a lead source. So let me take his email address. Let's convert again, and let's just pretend this is days later. So we'll submit that, and let's see what happens. So I'm going to refresh this contact. The lead source is going to remain the same, the original lead source. In the API sync page, we have this data. We're processing it. It's going to get pushed into Infusionsoft. I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to let this finish. It's going to take about a minute or so, and then we'll see what it looks like in Infusionsoft. All right, so I unpause the video. So there's the new, this record was finished. And if you want to look for like a history of data for that guy, you can search, and it'll tell you all the times that we've synced this record and what data came through. But let's look in Infusionsoft right quick. I'm going to refresh the contact record and look at the custom fields. So here's the email click, Infusionsoft, conversion data. And here's the original field. So the original AdWords trial stuff, none of this got overwritten because we will not overwrite these fields if there's a value in it. Now, these fields up here will always get overwritten each time we push data. Now, if these fields are getting overwritten through the API sync process, if we later get data that says direct or like basically direct data, we will not overwrite UTM data with direct data. So we won't do that. And we key off, I believe it's like the source or the medium to determine whether it's a direct lead or not. And so we have basically the last point of entry here, and then we have the first point of entry here. And then if we go to the tags, we have the conversion, email click, Infusionsoft, like all those tracking tags, and then we also have those original tracking tags. Now you might not want all these tags applied, so you can go in and select which tags you want or which tags you don't want, and you'll have the date the tag was applied, so you can kind of see, oh, this guy came from AdWords on that date, and then maybe this Infusionsoft email click on this date, right? So that's kind of how you track all the different conversion points. You can use tags to do that. If you want to have like the first point of entry and the last point of entry and just custom fields, you can set up this custom field preservation. The lead source will always remain the same, the first original point of entry. And then inside the member site, if you want to search and look back at contact records, you can look at that as well. Now if you implemented iTracker using kind of like the legacy setup where we instructed you to put custom fields in all your forms and add an HTTP postback and all that sort of stuff, those fields get set through the form submission and not really. They go through the API sync process, but it also gets set through the form submission, similar to how the lead source is set. So those fields will always get overwritten with whatever data comes through, through this method. But but yeah, hopefully that helps you out on preserving tracking data or tracking multiple points of entry. You can also override the UTM content and UTM term if you're tracking like a call to action, similar to like what I did with a green call to action link. But anyhow, just reach out to me if you have any questions or need any help with any of this stuff. Thanks.